Greetings, comrades. Okay, it's been a long time since I've made any videos here on BookTube, so I thought I'd make a little short video here about why, and then I'm going to be uploading another video about what I've read so far, or well, what I read in January. I'll do that. Last May, I took a trip across country from Northern California to northwestern Pennsylvania with a friend of mine to check out a town, Oil City, Pennsylvania, because I was planning on retiring soon, and I'd been looking at this town and thinking about possibly moving there. And the reason for that is because they have what is called an artist relocation program. And this is a program that several cities have throughout the United States, where they offer incentives to artists to move there. Usually small towns, not big cities. Things like that. And they offer like loan incentives and some grant incentives and things like that. Now, I was going to be retiring, so I wasn't really too concerned about actually going through the actual program, but I did like the town, and I liked the fact that if I moved somewhere, it would be kind of a built-in artist community, which is kind of like a built-in family in a way. At least that's been my experience so far. So we came to this town last May. There were some houses that I'd been interested in but weren't really on the market anymore. One of the other things about wanting to move here is that I could actually afford to buy a house here, which I could never do in Northern California. We've been researching this town and the artist community and stuff for a few years. A friend of mine came back and visited, and she really liked it. She ended up not moving because her family was still in California, so she stayed there. But she liked it and recommended it. So when we began this research project, we were looking and we were comparing the prices and cost of living and things like that to Santa Rosa, California, which was the large place near where I lived. The cost of living here is 49% of what it is there. The housing cost is only 20%. I mean, really, it's 20%. The down payment in California is the full price of the house here in this town. It's just outrageous. So anyway, my friend and I came back in May. We looked at a few houses. There were two of them specifically that I had liked that hadn't been on the market, but when we got here, it turns out they were both still available. One had gone, I guess, an offer had been put in, but it didn't go through. The other one had somebody looking at it, but the owner said I could go ahead and look as well. So it was kind of between these two houses, and I liked them both. One of them was probably in good shape. It looked like it was an estate sale. I think, so it was less expensive than the other one by $10,000, almost $9,000, I think. But the other one was very nice. It was in a neighborhood that I wanted, which is near streets that are flat. In this town, the Allegheny River runs right through the middle of town, and it's very hilly because it slopes down. It's actually in the foothills, at the beginning of the foothills of the Appalachian Mountain Range. So the town can be kind of hilly, and it is at the bottom of the snow belt. So I know there's going to be ice and snow in the winter, and I kind of wanted to be someplace a little bit flatter. And I liked this part of town. This other house was in walking distance to the library and to the coffee shop. Two important things in someone's life, right? And actually, I could even walk over across the river too. It's not really that far, though I'd probably have to get a little bit better shape. So I looked at both those houses, and it turns out they were both that I liked were back on the market. I got to look at them. So when we came back, I spoke to the people at Quicken Loans, got pre-approved, put in a bid on one of the houses, the house that was on the south side near the flatter part, which has been remodeled in probably the last 5 to 7 years, I think, something like that. Now, almost all of the houses in this town are Victorian. This house that I'm living in now, which I did end up buying, was built in 1897, and the majority of the houses in the town are from that era. This is where oil was first discovered in the United States, so that's why it's called Oil City. And like so many small towns, they're having their economic problems. And one of the things that they decided to do to try and get people to move here was to do one of these artist relocation programs. and it's been pretty successful. I think they started sometime in 2008. They've had about 40 artists move here. At last count that I heard. I don't know if those are just the ones that have gone through the program or not, but it's been pretty successful, and it's a nice little town. So anyway, that started in May. It took a couple of months for all of the processing and paperwork to do. My God, if I'd known what I was getting into with buying a house these days, I might have had second thoughts. But the people at Quicken were great. Uh, Everything was done online. They didn't have any problem with doing a mail away closing, so I didn't have to take a trip back here to sign papers. Everything was overnighted to me. I signed it in front of a notary, got notarized, and overnighted everything back, which banks are like probably hesitant to do. So if you're thinking about it, and especially if you're going to be moving like that out of the area, I do highly recommend checking with Quicken Loans. They did a great job. They were fantastic. Um, so that happened in May. It took a couple of months. So the house closed on July 31st. Now I got a loan for the house, even though it was really inexpensive. Um, and I just, I got an FHA loan. But one of the requirements of that is that you have to take possession of the house within 60 days. So that left me 2 months to pack everything and get everything ready to move. And I had to do all the things with getting my cats, on the plane and all of this kind of stuff. And it was just like really, thank God I have really good friends because they really, really came to my rescue here and helped out a lot. So I had to get a movers. I had to do all this other kind of stuff. And this meant I had to leave my job sooner than I had thought. I was going to retire at the end of 2015. But I ended up, my last day of work was September 1st. And I flew out on the 21st, or the evening of the 20th, and took a red-eye flight, me and my cats, from San Francisco to Pittsburgh, and where I'd rented a car, and I drove. It's a couple of hours north of Pittsburgh is where this town is. We drove up here and arrived, mid-morning on the 21st of September. So I've, gone through the house buying process, gone through all the packing process, gone through the moving process. I've set up for gone through getting Social Security, gone through getting Medicare, gone through picking a healthcare plan here, setting up one pension, setting up another pension. It was a whole lot of stuff in about a 6 month period that was going on. So I wasn't doing a whole lot of reading. Everything actually went pretty well. The only snag that I had really was getting a driver's license here in Pennsylvania. And it wasn't, normally it's not a big deal. I mean, if you have a valid driver's license and you come here, you don't have to take a driving test or even a written test. You just take an eye exam and they'll transfer your license over. My situation was a little bit unique because I had changed my name many years ago, like 15, 16 years ago, something like that. And back in those days, this was before 9/11, and it was you didn't even have to go to court to change your name. You just changed your name. You changed it, I changed it for religious reasons, which was fine with Social Security, the banks, the driver's license, nobody cared. But when I came here, it kind of snagged because my birth certificate, of course, is in a different name than my driver's license. And they said they would accept a passport, but when I went and talked to the people about trying to get a passport, it was horrendous of what I would have to go through. And they would not, even though I had old driver's licenses that showed my original name and this name, they don't accept them. It's like they don't exist. If they're expired, they don't exist. I was like, oh my God. And that's the way the DMV here was too. It's like, it's DMV documents. Come on, give me a break. So I had to get some more. It wasn't that you couldn't have a license in a different name. You just, had to provide a little more documentation. So I had to get some tax records and bank records and things like that. So it took a little while. So I had rented a car for a bit, but well, most things are cheaper out here. Renting cars necessarily wasn't. So for quite a while there, I didn't have anything. Fortunately, the car rental place that's nearby is an Enterprise. So when I needed it, they would come and pick me up. And they're about 6 miles away, so that was a good thing. Because I haven't met too many people here, and the people I have met across the street, they don't drive. They don't have a car and they don't drive. So anyway, that finally all got straightened out. That was really hanging over my head and really kind of a damper on my my psychological aspect, aside from, all the stuff of moving and all of that. But that finally got taken care of in December. I got my license. I was able to buy a car, so now I have transportation just in time for winter to get here when I can't drive because of the snow and ice, and I don't know how to drive in that. So I've spent a lot of time here in my new home, which I really like. It's got about twice the size of my other place that I was living. I do miss my friends. I moved here without knowing anybody other than the realtor that I'd been in contact with and the woman, um, Joanne Wheeler, who runs the artist relocation program. She administers that. And so they were about the only two people I knew here. And I've met some of the kids around in the neighborhood recently, and I probably hang out with them more than I do any of the adults. And of course, I have Wi-Fi, and now I have a car, so I'm even more popular. But hey, that's fine. I don't mind it. So anyway, that's all that's been going on. There's been just, tons of stuff. I just recently applied for and was granted a studio space in the transit building downtown. So I'm going to be having an artist studio there. I also have one set up here in my home. So I'll be working probably half one place, half the other, something like that. So anyway, that's a whole lot that's been going on here. Probably more than you ever really wanted or needed to know. But I just thought I'd do this little video just so it shows, that I haven't forgotten about BookTube. I love BookTube, and I'm really anxious to get back into it. I finally started reading again now, and so I'm going to be doing a video about all the books I read in January, and that'll be uploaded next, okay? So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sticking with me during this time off. So I'm glad to be back, and I hope to be able, now that I'm retired, to be able to do a lot more videos and reading and things like that, and be able to participate a whole lot more. Retirement is great. Every day is Saturday. So that's it for now. Take care, happy reading, and happy trails. Bye.